Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel, and I have a good one for you today because today we are talking about a top tier race day shoe. Guys, in this video, we are going to be digging into the New Balance SuperComp Elite V5. Let's get into it. Before we get started, I just want you to know that this video is in collaboration with my friends over at Roadrunner Sports. Now, Roadrunner Sports was good enough to send me this pair of the New Balance SuperComp Trainer Elite V5 for the purpose of review. However, they haven't told me what to say. They don't have any editorial privileges, and all the thoughts and opinions are my own. With that said, if you want to pick up a pair of the SC Elite V5, you can over at Roadrunner Sports for $250. And of course, I'll place a link in the show notes below in case you want to pick up a pair for yourself. So although I get to run in a lot of running shoes, this is actually the first pair of SC Elites that I've run in. I have skipped the first 4 iterations of this shoe, and now I have version 5 in hand. So I'm not going to be able to compare it, firsthand to the previous version or previous versions before it. But I've got to say, I think V5 is the best one yet. Or at least that's a little subjective. I think what I mean to say is that the SuperComp Elite V5 is the best Elite for me so far. It just works very well for what I'm looking for in a super shoe. Now, one of the biggest changes that New Balance have made this year with the SC Elite V5 is the stack. Well, not really the stack, but the drop, because we now have 40 in the heel, 32 in the forefoot for an 8mm drop. Last year in version 4, we still had that 40 in the heel, but there was only a 4mm drop, so we've increased the drop by 4mm. Another huge change for the positive is that New Balance has slashed the weight of version 5, at least compared with version 4. Now, in the US men's size 9.5, New Balance claims that the SC Elite V5 will tip the scale at 7.3 ounces or 214 grams, which is pretty light. Last year for the sample size, the SC Elite V4 weighed in at 237 grams. So that's a 23 gram drop. However, I don't wear a US men's size 12.5, I wear a men's size 12.5, and in my size, the SC Elite V5 tips the scale at 8.7 ounces or 247 grams. So still a very light shoe. And I think because of these changes, I think it has really elevated the SC Elite in line with the competition. I think this is a tip of the spear racer, and I think it's going to work for a lot more people than maybe some of the other competitors. But you can decide that for yourself as we go through the shoe. And let's start at the top and work our way down. And if I hold that up, I think this is one of the most pleasant surprises that I've seen about this shoe, and that is the heel collar padding. We actually have quite a bit of heel collar padding, and it's very traditional. A lot of times on race day shoes, these companies are making kind of bolster padding. New Balance has stuck with a very traditional kind of padding, although that padding is definitely biased towards the top of the heel collar. So when you do slip your heel in, you do find that the back of the shoe does kind of grab onto your foot and hold you in place. It does give you a good lockdown. And that is also probably because we have a very rigid heel counter on the SC Elite V5. I mean, very rigid. I'm not sure if I've actually seen this much of a heel counter on another top tier race day shoe. And I think this rigidity in the heel is going to work for a lot of people because when these heels get a little bit floppy, and of course brands do this so they can save a bit of weight by eliminating this hard structure in the back. When they do that, you can get a little heel slip, or at least some people can. And I think because of this heel counter on the back, we're going to have more people that don't experience heel slip. That means it's going to work for more people, which is a good thing. Now, of course, if you still had some heel slip in this shoe, we do have this extra hole in case you wanted to do the runner's knot, and that will just add that extra security of locking down that heel. As far as the upper, New Balance is using a single layer, very breathable mesh. Of course, to my eye, in this colorway, it doesn't look very breathable, but from my perspective, with the light on the other side of the shoe, from me, I can see the light shining through the shoe, and I can actually see how breathable it is. It is very light. Now, the feel of the upper, it's a little rough. There is a lot of structure to it, which again, I think is a good thing, as it's just going to make for a more comfortable kind of step-in feel. Now, I've said it before on other shoes where shoes have a rough upper, and that is, I don't really think that matters to anyone. Because, of course, I don't know anyone out there who is running in running shoes in bare feet. That would just be a really sweaty mess. But if you like to wear bare feet in your shoes, drop a comment and let me know. Anyway, back to the shoe. New Balance has included quite a few overlays. We've got the branding here on the lateral and the medial side, a rather stiff toe bumper, which is an underlay just to, again, keep that upper off your toe. We've got the standard reinforcements coming along the eyelet chain. And then, of course, we do have the back of the heel, which we mentioned with the heel counter, but that rigidity does come quite far forward. In fact, the shoe is quite rigid up to about here. So it's here on this side, and then on the other side, the rigidity comes quite far forward, up to about here. So again, that entire heel area is getting a good amount of security. Like, it's really holding you in place. Let's come down to the midsole, and this is a race day shoe, so really this is where the power is coming from. Well, as that's not true, is it? The power is coming from you, but the midsole foam is giving that power back to you. It's going to respond, and it responds well. It's 100% PIBA fuel cell, and it feels like how I like a super shoe to feel. It's a little soft, and it has a lot of pop. Now, I have heard from other people that have run in the SC Elite V4 that version 5 is just a little firmer than version 4 was, but of course, again, I didn't run in version 4, so I can't compare it firsthand, but I will tell you that I didn't find the PIBA foam in version 5 to be firm at all. In fact, I would say it is that Goldilocks zone, where it feels soft, it feels protective, and yet when you start picking up the pace, when you really put the pedal down, the shoe responds very well. Now, of course, it isn't just the foam. We do have a full-length carbon fiber plate, and New Balance has, well, it is obvious that they've tweaked the plate because we have a bigger drop, so the plate is going to have more of a scoop, but New Balance has also tweaked the stiffness of the forefoot of the plate to make it even snappier. So when you do land and then you roll through the toe and then toe off, you are getting a more snappy experience. So just because of these elements, I think the SC Elite V5 is going to feel a lot more aggressive of a race day shoe than version 4 ever could have, right? If we've got a slightly firmer foam and a more stiff forefoot plate, that formula is just going to equal snappiness, which I think is what we are looking for, but I don't want to scare you off by saying this is an aggressive shoe because it's really not overly aggressive. As I said, this shoe is kind of what I like to find in a race day super shoe. I don't really get along with the super aggressive shoes, and I find that the SC Elite V5 works very well for me, and I would have no problem running a full marathon in this shoe. Oh, let's come down to the outsole, because this is another thing that New Balance have changed, and they've changed the outsole rubber, and they're using a new formulation, and that new formulation is going to be stickier, so you're going to have better traction, and it's lighter, which is always a good thing, and also not surprising because the entire weight of the shoe has gone down quite a bit from last year. Now, while we're looking at the bottom of the shoe, I just want to draw your attention to this midfoot area. Now, that is quite a bit more narrow than version 4, and I would also imagine that the forefoot and the heel is also a little narrower in version 5 than in version 4, so if you are coming from version 4, I think the ride is going to be quite a bit different. In fact, it may be a little less stable just because of the natural inherent stability that comes with a wider platform. However, with that said, and I've tested a lot of super shoes, I didn't find the SC Trainer V5 unstable in the slightest. In fact, when I look at the bottom of the shoe like this and I see how narrow that midfoot is, I'm actually surprised that I didn't experience, a little wobbliness that comes from coming around corners in such a narrow shoe. The Elite V5 actually has quite a wide forefoot, and I think that kind of takes a lot of the stability and doesn't make you feel like a baby giraffe. And last observation of the rubber on the bottom of the SC Elite V5, and that is right here on this lateral heel edge. Now, you're not going to be able to see it, of course I'll lay something over the camera, but this bit of rubber right here is quite a bit thicker than the rubber up on the forefoot, and that's important. Well, it's important for someone like me that when I am not running at my most efficient, so let's say towards the end of a marathon when I'm getting tired, and when I'm running at slower paces, I do tend to heel strike, and because I heel strike, it does tend to wear down the rubber on this lateral heel a lot quicker than like other rubber. And you know as well as I do that sometimes these race day shoes are designed for 100% weight savings. Some of these companies just put a little square of rubber on the back that is just super paper thin, and that wears down very quickly, and before I know it, I'm wearing through the midsole. That isn't going to be a problem with the SC Elite V5, and just because of this amount of outsole rubber here, I am going to say that the SC Elite V5 are going to last a little longer than some other of the competitors in the same class. Look, the SC Elite V5 doesn't exist in a vacuum. If you are thinking of buying a pair of these, you're probably going to be looking at some of the competitors. And I think if you are, you're probably also looking at the Brooks Hyperion Elite 5. Now, the Hyperion Elite 5 has 40 in the heel, 32 in the forefoot, also for an 8mm drop. So same stack, same drop. The Hyperion Elite 5 will cost $275, so it's $25 more than the SC Elite V5. And my size tips the scale at 238 grams. So the Hyperion Elite 5 is 9 grams less in my size than the SC Elite V5. Next up, I think you also might be looking at the Adidas Adios Pro 4. Now, the Adios Pro 4 has 39 in the heel, 33 in the forefoot for a 6mm drop. It's the same price as the SC Elite V5 at $250, and in my size tips the scale at 233 grams. So the Adios Pro 4 is 14 grams less than my size of the SC Elite V5. And finally, I think we also have to compare it to the Nike Vaporfly 4. Now, I'm not sure this is actually a fair competition, but they are made for the same thing, so we're going to compare them anyway. Now, the Vaporfly 4 is very light. In my size, it weighs in at 218 grams, so that's 29 grams lighter than my size of the SC Elite V5, but you are giving up a little of the stack height. So the Vaporfly 4 only has 35mm in the heel, 29 in the forefoot for a 6mm drop. And the Vaporfly 4 will cost you $270, which is $20 more expensive than the SC Elite V5. So what do you think? I really want to hear from you if you have run in version 4 and now you're thinking of picking up the Elite V5. And what has been your favorite New Balance shoe of all time? Definitely drop a comment and let me know. But for now, it's Matt B. This has been my review of the New Balance SC Elite V5. Be kind, be happy, run well. See you in a couple of days.